In this episode, I cover a concept and idea that may have you thinking, I have lost my mind. That idea is why using your insurance to help get your injury fixed is way more expensive than going to a provider that doesn't take insurance. Give me a chance to explain myself. It'll all make sense on this episode. Welcome back to the Injuries Explained project, where we are on a hell of a mission to make chronic injuries obsolete by helping anyone that is injured and in pain get properly educated and informed on all their treatment options so they can have the best possible outcomes without ever having to resort to pain pills, injections, or surgeries, which only make things worse. My name is Dr. 𝐿. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the show. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. All of the information presented in this episode is strictly my opinion and in no way, shape, or form should be misinterpreted as concrete medical advice or recommendations. If you're currently injured and in pain, please reach out to a qualified medical practitioner for a full diagnosis. If you've already done that, you haven't got any real answers, you're frustrated as hell, you just want to know what's going on and get down the path to getting your injury fixed and solved, you can reach out to us directly for an injury consultation. All of the information to do that is available in the show notes or wherever you might be consuming this content. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's get right into the show. The problem with using your insurance, I'm probably going to yell and use some profanity in this episode because this is a topic that really just boils my blood and just kind of pisses me off. Just a little context for this episode before we get started. What I'm specifically talking to is someone dealing with a chronic injury that really shouldn't have surgery, wants to stay away from pain pills and injections, and wants their problem solved with what I call natural remedies. I covered the issues with surgery and all the problems with it in episode 4. If you haven't checked that out, go back and listen to that. It'll really help you ask some questions if surgery is actually going to help make your problem worse or actually just destroy you. So go back and listen to that. It'll give you a lot of good context in there. So a lot of these ideas for these podcasts come from my own clinic and providers that I train from all over the world. And I had one last week. It was one of my current patients asked about potentially having one of their friends come in as a new patient. They'd been through the ringer. I think they've seen like 10 different providers, had a couple surgeries, not really getting any answers about what's going on, kind of running out of hope. All that's left is going to pain management. And when you go to pain management, they don't fix anything. That's it. You're screwed. It's done. They're like, sorry, sucks to be you, but this is how it's going to be. That sucks when people hear that. That's why I created the Injuries Explained project, because you don't have to be like that. So the first question from this potential patient was, do you take my insurance? Which I get it. People want to know if you take their insurance. You pay a lot for insurance. Instead, what you should ask is, can you help me fix my problem? Like I said before, I get it. I pay a lot for my own insurance too, and it seems like I get less and less every time I go to the provider. I think I went a couple months back for like a routine checkup, and like they maybe spent like 7 minutes with me. I was there for like an hour, and they billed like $400. I was like, sheesh, really taking it here. It was funny too, because I looked at my EOB, which is your explanation of benefits, and they billed like $800 for the visit, but the insurance only paid out like $400, and I had a high deductible plan anyway, so I was still paying that $400. I was like, man, some pretty good scratch for 7 minutes worth of treatment. So what happens to a provider though when they go in network with an insurance company? Now, specialists, they're different. Like specialists get paid a shit ton. They get paid a shit ton for what they do. But I'm talking about like regular old providers, like the chiropractors, the physical therapists, some massage therapy is covered by insurance, our acupuncturists. These are the front of the line people. These are the conservative care people that are keeping you from pain pills, injections, and surgeries. They get screwed. They don't get paid anything. So when they decide to go in network with an insurance company, what happens is, first off, basically they become the insurance company's bitch. Yeah, they do. The insurance company tells them what they can diagnose, what they can treat, how much they can treat, and make them fill out more paperwork than when you buy a house. On top of all that, they routinely cut what they pay them for the services anywhere from, I'd say, 25 to 50%. They just might one day be like, hey, you know what? we're not going to pay as much for that service that we did last year. You just got to take it because you're in network with us and we own you. Remember, you're a bitch. Think about this yourself. Would you go to work tomorrow if your boss said they needed you to do the same amount of work, but they're just going to pay you 50% less? You'd say, hell no. But this is what happens with these doctors and these providers. They're like, I don't have a choice. If I don't take insurance, nobody's going to come in and I'm going to lose my business and I'm going to lose my practice. So what else happens to the providers taking insurance? Like I said before, never-ending paperwork. And then they have to hire more staff to keep up with that paperwork. Now they're making less money, so they need to see more patients, which then limits their focus and makes them bitter, and eventually they're very burnt out. And it makes it seem like they don't even care about your problem, or you're just a number to them because they have to see way more people to make the same amount of money. Remember, they're getting their reimbursements cut by 25 to 50%. There's more paperwork, so they have to pay more staff, so there's less and less left over for them, and they're not really incentivized to do anything better. They're just going through the motions. So how do I look at the current insurance model for getting an injury treatment? I look at it as like say you commit a crime, right? Say you commit a crime and they say, okay, sir or ma'am, you can have access to the public defender to help defend you if you can't afford a good attorney. And if you do go through and use the public defender, they're probably going to mess your case up. You're probably not going to get off for the charges. You're going to end up in jail. If your life's on the line, you actually want to avoid it. You're going to shell out more money for a really good defense attorney. Now, providers that take your insurance, they're like the public defender. Yeah, they might help, but I don't know what kind of quality you're going to get. They're getting paid nothing. They're kind of idiots. They're not able to figure out the problem. So that's how insurance should be. And a lot of times looking for a provider that doesn't participate in insurance ends up being the best of the best. Now, I know you might be thinking, I get it, that an insurance doctor isn't as good, but I have to use my insurance. And I can't afford one of those expensive doctors that doesn't take my insurance. Here's a few things to hopefully change your mind. So insurance plans have changed a lot. I'm going to be 38 here. I remember like 10, 15 years ago, we used to have like just a copay, $15, $20, and you actually got pretty good stuff. They took care of the doctors. Everyone was working good, but now everyone's just got these high deductible plans. So what does high deductible plans mean? It means you're paying out of pocket regardless of what you do. You're going to pay out of pocket regardless of what you do. I said that twice there. And in all honesty, most non-insurance doctors' fees are pretty reasonable because they don't have to pay a huge army of staff to fill out the insurance paperwork. So a lot of times you're going to be paying out of pocket anyway. So if you have to take your money and pay it, are you going to pay it for someone that's going through the motions, having to see a million different patients, not focus in there? Or are you going to pay it to the doctor that can really focus on you and is all in figuring out exactly what your problem is, right? Because there is a problem with going for a cheaper solution. One of my mentors taught me back in the day. He said, the problem with a cheap solution is it isn't a solution in itself. So a lot of people try all these different solutions instead of actually going for the most expensive one, because the most expensive one's actually going to fix the problem. So say in my clinic, I'm $100 per visit. And then the person down the road is in network and maybe their copay is $25. So for 4 visits for them, you can see me for 1 visit. So you're like, oh, well, obviously I'm going to go to them because I'm going to get 4 visits and I only get 1 with you. Here's what you get from me though, in my office. You get my full focus and attention. I treat exactly what you need without someone telling me what to do, and your problem is actually fixed. I also spend a dedicated 15 to 20 minutes with you solely focusing on your problem. I don't overbook, so I get you in and out. You know, nothing's worse than going to the doctor and being there waiting forever. And then they bring you back and you wait some more and you wait some more because they got to see way more people to keep their bottom line. So what are you going to get from that insurance doctor that charge you a $25 copay? You're going to get half-ass care. You're going to get no focus. They might spend, 3 to 4 minutes with you, and they're flustered because they have a waiting room full of people and they're way behind because they had to overbook to make that same amount of money. They're going to be going through the motions, and they're going to be someone, honestly, that gave up trying a long time ago because they don't want to have to accumulate any valuable skills. Because at the end of the day, to not take insurance and not participate in insurance, you have to have something valuable because everyone else takes it. What sets you apart is actually having amazing skills and investing in yourself as the provider. These people don't do it. And they just want to squeeze out as much from the insurance companies to get by and hopefully make a little bit of money and keep the lights on. I always say this, remember, price is what you pay. Value is what you get. So in closing, honestly, you're struggling, you haven't got any real answers, and you just keep looking, you'll find someone and your first question is, hey, do you take my insurance? Instead of like, hey, can you help me? And then you go to this person because they take their insurance. You know you're not any better. Then you're on to the next one, on to the next one. And that's the problem is you're paying all these copays, you're wasting all this time, and you're not any better. Where you could have actually done is go and find a provider that doesn't take insurance. That's a clear sign that they got something pretty awesome and pretty valuable because they can tell the market and they can stay away from what everyone else is doing and they can focus on you solely as a client and you get your problem fixed. So please support the show by sharing it with others. If you have any questions or topics you want me to cover on Ask Me Anything, just send an email over directly to us. And lastly, if you're looking for real answers about what may be going on with your own injury and you're tired of getting jerked around by the medical system, like I just covered in this episode, then please reach out and request an injury consultation with our team. All of that info is available in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.